Jenny Slatton's love story on 90 Day Fiancé. The Other Way is one of the most emotional and controversial journeys the franchise has ever seen. An American woman in her 60s, a younger man from India, different cultures, different expectations, and a relationship that has been questioned from the very beginning. But now, Jenny is finally opening up and revealing new details about what life with Sumit is really like behind the cameras. And the truth may surprise you. When Jenny first packed her bags and moved to India, she wasn't just chasing love. She was leaving behind her comfort zone, her family, her friends, and the only life she had ever known. For Jenny, Sumit wasn't just a boyfriend. He was her future. And she believed love would be enough to overcome anything. However, reality hit fast. According to Jenny, life with Sumit is filled with emotional highs and painful lows. She describes him as loving, attentive, and deeply supportive when they are alone. In their private moments, she says Sumit makes her feel safe, understood, and valued. Those moments, Jenny admits, are what keep her going. But outside their apartment, the pressure never stops. One of the hardest truths Jenny reveals is that Sumit's family still does not fully accept her. Even after marriage, the tension remains. Jenny says the constant feeling of being unwelcome has left deep emotional scars. Imagine loving someone with your whole heart, yet knowing the people closest to them wish you were never part of their life. That pain, Jenny says, never truly goes away. Living in India has also brought intense cultural challenges. Jenny explains that she often feels judged by neighbors, strangers, and society as a whole. The age gap, the cultural differences, and her foreign identity make her stand out everywhere she goes. Sometimes she feels like she's constantly being reminded that she doesn't belong, and that isolation can be overwhelming. Financial stress is another major struggle Jenny opens up about. Living on a limited income in a foreign country is not easy, especially with rising costs and medical concerns. Jenny admits there are nights when fear takes over, fear of the future, fear of illness, and fear of what would happen if the cameras stopped rolling. Because love may be powerful, but it doesn't pay the bills. Jenny also addresses one of the biggest accusations fans have made for years, that Sumit is using her. And she strongly disagrees. Jenny insists their relationship is real, built on emotional connection, trust, and shared experiences. She says people only see short clips on TV, not the long nights of conversation, vulnerability, and genuine affection. Still, she doesn't pretend everything is perfect. Arguments are frequent. The same issues resurface again and again. Sumit's attachment to his family, and Jenny's need for reassurance and commitment. Sometimes Jenny feels like she's sacrificed everything, while Sumit is still holding back, and that imbalance hurts. Perhaps the most emotional revelation Jenny shares is about loneliness. Even though she is married, she often feels alone. Being thousands of miles away from her loved ones has taken a toll on her mental health. There are moments when silence fills the apartment and the reality of her choices feels heavy. Jenny also speaks honestly about aging, something rarely discussed so openly on reality TV. Growing older in a foreign country comes with fears she never anticipated. Health concerns, dependency, the fear of becoming a burden. These thoughts, she says, keep her awake at night. Yet, despite all of this, Jenny has no regrets. She says the small moments, cooking together, laughing, sharing everyday life, remind her why she chose this path. Those moments make the sacrifices feel worth it. They remind her that love doesn't follow rules, timelines, or social expectations. Public criticism, however, has been brutal. Jenny admits the hate she receives online has deeply affected her. Being judged by millions of strangers is not easy, and sometimes it feels dehumanizing. But she reminds viewers that behind the reality show is a real woman with real emotions. As for the future, Jenny admits she doesn't know what lies ahead. She doesn't know if things will get easier or if the cultural and family conflicts will ever truly disappear. But one thing is clear. She chose love, and she stands by that decision. Because for Jenny, wondering what if would have been far more painful than taking the risk. Her story isn't a fairy tale. It isn't a warning. It's a raw, emotional journey about love, sacrifice, and resilience. And whether people agree with her choices or not, Jenny's life with Sumit proves one thing. Love doesn't always make sense, but sometimes it's worth everything. While viewers often see Jenny and Sumit smiling on screen, Jenny reveals that life behind closed doors is far more complicated than it appears. Marriage, she says, didn't erase the past. It forced them to confront it. One of the biggest struggles they face every single day is emotional baggage. Years of secrecy, lies, and family conflict didn't simply disappear once vows were exchanged. Jenny admits that trust is still something they actively work on, not something they take for granted. There are moments when old wounds resurface. During arguments, the past has a way of creeping back in. The hidden marriage, the years of deception, the constant fear of being abandoned. Jenny says it's hard not to feel vulnerable when history has already shown how fragile things can be. Sumit, on the other hand, carries a different kind of weight. Jenny explains that Sumit lives with constant guilt. Guilt for choosing love over tradition. Guilt for hurting his parents. Guilt for going against everything he was raised to believe. And that guilt, she says, often turns into stress, silence, and emotional shutdown. When that happens, Jenny feels the distance. She reveals that there are days when Sumit withdraws emotionally, not because he doesn't love her, but because he feels torn in half. And on those days, Jenny feels alone, even when they're sitting in the same room. Another difficult reality Jenny opens up about is independence. In the United States, she had her own routine, her own support system, and her own sense of control. In India, that independence looks very different. She relies on Sumit more than she ever imagined she would, and that dependence sometimes scares her. She admits there are moments when she worries about losing herself. Financial dependence has also created tension. Jenny explains that money conversations are uncomfortable but unavoidable. Medical expenses, rent, daily living costs, everything adds up, and living on uncertainty has made her question what security really means at this stage of her life. Growing older has changed how Jenny views the future. She talks openly about health fears, not just physical, but emotional. What happens if she gets sick? What happens if she can't adjust anymore? What happens if Sumit feels overwhelmed by responsibility? These are questions she carries quietly. Loneliness, Jenny says, is one of the hardest parts to explain to people. Even though she is married, even though she chose this life, there are days when the silence feels heavy. Being far away from her children, her grandchildren, and her friends has left a void that love alone can't always fill. And holidays make that feeling worse. Birthdays pass quietly. Family celebrations happen without her. And while she tries to stay strong, there are nights when she cries herself to sleep, wondering if the distance was too high of a price to pay. Jenny also addresses the public perception of her relationship. She knows people judge the age gap. She knows people question Sumit's intentions. She knows critics call her desperate or delusional. And while she says she tries not to let it affect her, the truth is, it does. Words hurt. Being exposed on reality television means having your most vulnerable moments analyzed by strangers. Jenny admits that some comments have deeply damaged her confidence, but she also says the experience has made her stronger, more self-aware, and less afraid of speaking her truth. Despite everything, Jenny insists that love is still the reason she stays. She talks about the quiet moments that cameras never capture, cooking meals together, watching TV late at night, laughing over small misunderstandings, holding hands during moments of fear. Those moments, she says, are real, and they matter. Jenny also shares that she's learned to let go of expectations. She no longer expects approval from everyone. She no longer expects life to look normal. Instead, she focuses on peace, honesty, and emotional growth. She's learning to accept uncertainty rather than fight it, and that acceptance has changed her. Looking ahead, Jenny doesn't pretend to have a perfect plan. She doesn't know what the future holds for her and Sumit. She doesn't know if family relationships will ever heal completely. but she does know this. She followed her heart, and for her, that matters. Jenny's story isn't about age, it isn't about culture alone. It's about choosing love when it's inconvenient. It's about starting over when most people are settling down. And it's about accepting that happiness doesn't come without sacrifice. Whether viewers support her or criticize her, one thing is clear. Jenny's journey is real, raw, and deeply human. And as her story continues, one question remains. Was love worth the cost? Only time will tell.